All right, guys, far-left Congresswoman Ilhan Omar says Jerry Seinfeld is a horrific human being because he said this after a Knicks game this week.
That's the old dude.
Oh, Jerry Seinfeld.
What up, Seinfeld? What up? Can we get a free Palestine? Can we get a free Palestine? Come on, give us one free Palestine.
It doesn't exist.
You got all that? You got all that? You got all that? There we go. There we go.
What is wrong with that dude, bro?
Oh my God, that was a insane clip. Oh my God, that was an insane clip.
Look at the befuddlement on the faces of the guys who recorded him. They are shocked that he made such a claim, that he's laughing in their faces while he's saying it, and Omar was outraged by Seinfeld's response.
I mean, Jerry Seinfeld has been really horrific human being and an example when it comes to talking about the reality of the genocide that Israel has carried out. And I think when people prioritize their own people in the interest of harming others, it's very dangerous. And I don't even think of him as like just a celebrity and someone who has a platform in that danger, but it is dangerous just as a human being to talk the way that he does. It's very disgusting, it's very disturbing, and it's very genocidal language that he uses.
Omar is accusing Jerry Seinfeld of genocidal language, especially after October 7th. Seinfeld, who is typically an apolitical, lighthearted comic, started being more honest about the Israel-Palestinian conflict. He got booed on stage in 2024 during his commencement speech at Duke University for that. But to be historically accurate, he's right. Palestine with a capital P does not exist. The word Palestine comes from the Romans, specifically Syria-Palestina, after they crushed Jewish revolts in 135 AD. It was a geographic label for that area, not an Arab country. Before that, there were Israelite kingdoms, Judeans, and Philistines. Between the 1500s to 1917, there was the Ottoman Empire, a superpower that spanned over much of the Middle East, and there were Ottoman provinces, no Palestine country. Arabs there were identified as Ottoman subjects, Southern Syrians, or just Muslims. There was no Palestinian national identity. After World War I and the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, the League of Nations gave Great Britain administrative control over what is now Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, and also what would be Jordan. Great Britain managed it between 1920 and 1948. The French also got mandates in Syria and Lebanon. Cue the rise of Nazi Germany in 1933 and anti-Semitism spreading across Europe and eventually the Holocaust. It was a dangerous time for Jews, obviously. Various European countries and also the United States strictly limited immigration or completely shut down their borders to Jewish refugees during this time. So a lot of them immigrated to this part of the Middle East to escape persecution or even death. There was Arab backlash to those people moving in. In 1937, something called the Peel Commission convened to propose a partition of the area into a Jewish state and an Arab state, a two-state solution, if you will. Under this plan, the Arab state would be allocated roughly 75% of the land, encompassing Judea, Samaria, the Negev, with the recommendation that it would be united with Jordan. Meanwhile, the Jewish state would be allocated only 17% of the land, from Mount Carmel to south of Beer Tuvia, the Jezreel Valley, and the Galilee. You can see on the map here how disproportionate the land allotments are, and you'd think the Arabs would be thrilled with this real estate deal. But they were not. The Arabs rejected it. and the Jews accepted it. So 10 years go by, and then we have the United Nations propose another partition plan for a Jewish state and an Arab state, with Jerusalem, a holy city with significance for both religions, under international administration. Now, this was less of a steal here in 1947 for the Arabs compared to the Peel Commission breakdown, with the Jews getting about 55% of the territory and the Arab state getting about 42%. But they were still offered their own state. The Jews said yes and declared the State of Israel in 1948. The Arab states rejected it once again, and as soon as Britain withdrew from the territory, they invaded, sparking a war. Egypt grabbed Gaza, Jordan took the West Bank and East Jerusalem. None of them created a state called Palestine.
It was immediately attacked by its neighboring Arab states, who resented the new nation and considered its creation to be illegal. Israel successfully beat off the attacks, and a series of armistice agreements worked out by the United Nations brought an end to organized warfare in 1949.
For the next 50 years, Israel suffered a lot of attacks from Arab states. They conceded some land as part of negotiations to stop the violence and finally have peace. In 2000, President Bill Clinton mediated between Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and the Palestinian Authority chairman Yasser Arafat at the Camp David summit. Israel offered Yasser Arafat a Palestinian state covering the vast majority of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The offer was once again shot down. In 2001, in negotiations that built on the Camp David summit, Israel pledged a more comprehensive deal, creating a Palestinian state. Israel offered them an independent, sovereign state encompassing Gaza, the vast majority of the West Bank, and also offered to split Jerusalem along demographic lines, with Arab neighborhoods becoming the capital of the Palestinian state and Jewish neighborhoods becoming the capital of Israel. And on top of that, Israel offered multiple pathways for Palestinian refugees because, as I said, there were many years of violence exchanged between the two sides, and that would primarily focus on repatriation to the new Palestinian state or resettlement. Once again, no agreement was reached. In 2008, Israel offered a similar plan that included a Palestinian state in about 93% of the West Bank, territorial swaps, and the division of Jerusalem. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said, no, thank you. So, what do we have to conclude based on all of this? There has never been a sovereign Arab state called Palestine. Not once in history. Jordan's own king in the 1970s said Palestinians are Jordanians. Jews have had a continuous presence in Israel, their ancestral homeland, for 3,000 plus years, with deep genetic and archaeological ties. Jerry Seinfeld is not denying people. He's denying this invented timeline that the Palestinian activists have. The Palestinian cause, so to speak, has been given the opportunity to have a nation of their own 5 times. And they have turned it down every single time. And the reason is they do not really want a 2-state solution. They want a 1-state solution where Israel is wiped off the map. So when an activist on a college campus says, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, what they mean is the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, which means Israel, because Israel spans that distance. And that means Israel has to no longer exist. It has to be destroyed. Well, some protesters know what this phrase means, not all.
And your sign says, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Yeah.
Can you tell me which river and which sea we're talking about here?
This is you've caught me on the spot, and I'm really horrible when asking questions. But basically, the river and the sea that border both sides of Palestine, where Israel is right now.
Today, the governance of the Palestinian people is politically and geographically divided between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. The PA governs parts of the West Bank, while Hamas became the de facto governing authority in Gaza in 2007 after they were elected. The founding Hamas charter explicitly calls for the destruction of Israel, declaring that, quote, Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. The charter says that the only solution to the Palestinian issue is continuous jihad, or holy war. So for Ilhan Omar to blast Seinfeld for using genocidal language, You know, genocide means to eradicate an entire people, by definition. That's the stated goal of Hamas. Thanks for watching. I'm Caroline Downey. Cheers and take care.